Hey there, welcome back to Shots. Today we're diving into a topic that might surprise you, the journey of Israelis applying for a US visa. And trust me, it is not as straightforward as it might seem. And there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. So grab your popcorn because we're about to uncover the twists and turns of these stories. The attitude that Israelis encounter while applying for a US visa is nothing as special as the relations between Washington and Jerusalem. This harsh reality has presented an absurd situations while all Israeli passport holders have visa exemptions for entry into the UAE, they cannot enjoy the same benefit with the most important ally, the US. But last week, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. State Department started their 4-week pilot programs to include Israel in the visa waiver program, the VWP. But considering the continued frictions between U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's new government, Israel's window of opportunity is closing. So what is the VWP? The VWP allows citizens from 40 countries to visit the U.S. for 90 days for tourism and business purposes without the hustle of applying for a visa in advance. Some of the countries participating in these programs are Australia, New Zealand, Japan, France, and even Italy, and of course, many more. For a long time, Israel has wanted to join this program, but couldn't because of its visa refusal rate remains higher than the 3% required to join the program. But in 2021, the then Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Gilad Erdan, decided to prioritize the issue after revealing that the main problem is the lack of understanding of the Israeli culture, where young Israelis seek to travel and work for short terms after their military service, and not to become illegal immigrants, as the U.S. officials think. But Erdan claims is partially correct, because unlike most Americans who pursue higher education and join college at the age of 70 or age of 18, in Israel, mandatory military service ends only after 20 for women and 21 for men. But the discharged soldiers look for different ways to compensate for the lost years. Some become backpackers and travel to South Asia or South America for a few months, if not for a few years. But the reality is that this trip is a privilege to many. The U.S. is undoubtedly the top of all destinations where young Israelis prefer to work. And the reason is quite obvious. In America, the salaries are considered higher than the average Israeli paid jobs. Most of these Israelis choose to pick up jobs at mall kiosks selling beauty products or the Dead Sea products. And in this way, we can say that young Israelis get an unofficial sales internship and earn sums that are hard to accumulate in their home country. After all, which job will offer a 20-year-old without education, without any work experience, the chance to earn 2.2 lakh per month? But there is more to this story. And other things have made it more difficult to Israel to join the program. The Americans demand that Israel will stop discriminating against Americans of Palestinian regions, who are often denied entry or taken for security questionings on arrival. The number of Palestinian Americans residents of the West Bank aren't precise. Israeli officials claim that the number to be around 20,000, while U.S. officials estimated to be between 45,000 and 65,000. Admission to the program is submitted to a 1-month trials and conditioned on improving Israel authorities' attitudes towards American citizens, regardless of their religions, place of birth, and political views. The decision to include Israel in this prestigious program has drawn criticism from multiple American stakeholders. Last month, 20 members of Congress, including Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, urged the Biden administrations to keep Israel out of the program due to its alleged disparate treatments of Palestinians. Israel is known for its airport differential security check, which is based on characteristics relevant to Israel Aviation Authority and national security, and is regulated by several procedures. The method allows Israel to regulate passenger traffic and provide good service while dealing with multiple security challenges such as the lone wolf or the organized terror attacks. But in light of these threats, the Israeli security establishment had few reservations about carrying out the pilot program. But since the Americans didn't give up, under the guidance of the political elites, solutions were found to the satisfactions of Israel's security agency. The visa problem comes down to two main things: electoral calculations and making sure that the White House is happy, especially when things are tense between Biden and Netanyahu. Last July, before Biden's official visit to Israel, the coalition led by Yair Lapid tried to push the two bills in the Knesset, which will bring the VWP one step closer. But the opposition led by Netanyahu was afraid that the coalition will make use of it in the upcoming elections. But after Netanyahu returned to power, he pushed the initiative. After all, Netanyahu wants to be remembered as the one for bringing this change to his young voters, and especially when its effect can be felt immediately. But as you guys know, timing is everything. The pilot program has been launched at a time when Israel-US relations are at the worst. The Biden administration called to stop the judicial reforms until a broad consensus is reached. The Biden administrations, up until recently, banned Netanyahu's official visit to the U.S. as the leader of the new coalition. And if this wasn't enough, the Americans decided to invite President Isaac Herzog, a non-elected figure with a mainly ceremonial role, to visit Washington 3 weeks ago. But the Biden administration knows that including Israel in the VWP will be a significant achievement for the current government. But I'd say that the Americans aren't convinced that this is the right time for gift giving. Today, Israel political elites are concerned about the government's judicial overhaul and its potential effect on joining the program. After years of joint effort of different agencies in Israel, the main concern is that the U.S. will not only conjure up additional requirements, but even reconsider the entire process. Israel's next chance could only come after 2 years. But until then, we might have a different Israel and a different dynamic with our most important ally, the U.S.